invocation, and then we're going to have Commissioner Perno do our Pledge of Allegiance.
God, thank you for a new year, and thank you for allowing us just to see another. God, we pray and ask that you will bless this meeting, that you will, God, help us to be diligent and, Father God, to do things that are decent and in order in your name. We pray for the city of Lynn Haven, for Bay County, for our nation, that your hands be upon us. And Father God, we pray that as we go into this new year, God, that we continue to teach us how to love and to be kind and to do things that are pleasing in your sight. For we ask this all in thy Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. Next, we're going to need a motion from one of our commissioners to excuse Commissioner Dan Russell from the meeting today.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Ms. Gaynor, if you'd call the roll.
Commissioner Perno?
Aye.
Commissioner Tender?
Here.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes. So we will excuse Commissioner Russell. Next, we have the Mayor Pro Tem's report. You know, it's been a busy couple months for all of us. We've had the holiday season come up. We've had the elections. We've all had the craziness going on. But I, for one, am glad to get into 2021. And I'm glad that we live in a good place, a safe city, a city full of people that care about each other and about each other's well-being and welfare. And it shows. It really does. I know that things can get a little bit iffy sometimes when you're dealing with national issues, but we have to remember, regardless of what's going on nationally, we all still live right down the street from each other. So I'm thankful for each and every one of you guys starting 2021. We did have an awesome vaccination process, I guess, take place here on Sunday morning. I don't know if you got to see that. I'm sure you probably did. But, you know, we were so proud here at the City of Lynn Haven to be able to show off this new facility to our governor and his people. And the governor actually was very, very complimentary of the work we're doing and the work that we've done here in this building and what we're carrying on to do throughout the city. So I just want to thank everyone again for a new year. Happy New Year to you. And with that, I'll pass to Commissioner Perno.
Thank you, Mayor. I was very moved to be representing the city at the Wreaths Across America earlier in December. If you've ever attended the Wreaths Across America, it was a very moving event. I was very inspired by the fact that you just didn't place a wreath and go on to the next grave. You sat back and you were asked to say the person's name and thank them for your service. And that little bit of just a moment with someone you didn't know, it brought you some emotions that you didn't think you had for that day. And if you know, we go all the way back to the Civil War veterans in our Hope Cemetery and our Lynn Haven Community Cemetery, and it was just an overwhelming thing to go to. You know, the holidays were very good for me, a reunion of my family, and I see nothing but a bright future for Lynn Haven. You know, I was speaking with our city manager yesterday, and you know, we've got to realize we've got the Rails for Trails coming in. We've got Ascension Sacred Heart building a hospital here in Lynn Haven. You know, we've got our recreation center and our sports complex to rebuild in our city buildings. We have the Lynn Haven Bayou Park. I mean, there's so many bright things right on our cusp right now that we're going to get to, and a lot of them are going to happen in 21 and 22 and 23. So I look forward to a great future in Lynn Haven and a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Tender, if you would, please.
Thank you. Yep, Happy New Year to everybody. I think everything is going to be on the upswing for the next year. I have a number of things that I do want to take my commission report to address. Just so the public knows, I just handed out to all the commissioners a copy of, the first thing is a copy of my truce that I got from the county that Mr. Wing, I don't know, is Mr. Wing here today? No. We had a gentleman stand up at the last meeting and proclaim that I made $90,000 in less than a month after Hurricane Michael. That is absolutely false. I wish I made $90,000 a month every month. I have copies here for anybody who wants them. They are the check register from the county showing that I made $43,000 in 6 weeks after Hurricane Michael. And after the expenses of that job, I may have made 20. And it's all here in black and white. And so just to let everybody know that that was totally fabricated. I have no idea where he said he got his figures from, but anyway. And then I also handed all the commissioners my receipt with all my permits from the cafe, where we were talking about glass doors and glass windows and all that. I believe it was Commissioner Russell last time, saying there was some question in regards to my buying permits. Well, here's copies of all my permits, copies of my receipt for $786, and you're all welcome to that as well. So, putting that behind us, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about is, you know that a couple of meetings ago, we voted on going to 1099s for 2021. And I'm a little bit concerned because I did some research on this, and if you know the answer, I would like it. Okay, you know the answer. Okay. I read and found a thing that in the IRS that says if elected officials become vendors, it's my understanding that we lose our life insurance that the city provides. Is that true? Well, I'm being asked to fill out a vendor form that wants to know what kind of products I sell and all of that kind of thing. So I'm very confused by that, because if I truly become a vendor, then I lose everything. And any of the commissioners, and this is what I read as according to IRS, every commissioner that has insurance that the city pays 95% of, those commissioners would have to start paying that themselves, and that we lose all benefits. I don't know if you all knew that. But, so you don't...
And like I said, I don't know that I'm not aware of the vendor form, but just because you get a 1099 doesn't mean you're going to be a vendor
Right.
in the city. I mean, you're an elected official is what you are. And it's just a matter of paying really what it is historically, I guess, for forever in Lynn Haven. Commissioners have been paid basically like a reimbursement, almost like a stipend, to cover any sort of expenses you have, visiting constituents and things like that. So it's never been true compensation, like a salary, so to speak. So, and that's one of the things we're looking at, trying to get corrected in the charter and moving forward with these revisions. But so I mean, just because the form might say vendor form, that doesn't mean you're a vendor. You're still an elected official getting paid that stipend. So I mean, I'm happy to look at that after. I wasn't aware of that vendor form.
Okay. So at least we know whether you're going to lose. I don't take insurance, but I assume you guys do on your families. But according to that, we lose all that. So if we could get an answer on that, that would be great. And the only other thing, we've been dealing with a lot of code enforcement issues. And I'm excited to get the new code enforcement thing into play so that things don't drag on for years and years and years. So I've been dealing with some of that the last couple of weeks. And the last thing that I need to address, unless you want me to address it later, I know Julie's probably out, right? I can't see who's sitting over there. Shannon, okay. In the last minutes, there definitely have corrections in these minutes here. And I don't know if you'd like me to deal with that now or deal with that when she's doing the minutes.
When we get to minutes.
Hmm?
When we get to your minutes,
You want to do it when we get to the minutes?
that's where you correct them.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. And if we could go to Ms. Vicki Gaynor, please.
Thank you. First, let me say Happy New Year and thank you for everyone being here. We are happy to be in a building where we have a little bit more room to spread out, and happy to see everyone here. Staff has been working really hard to work around trying to make sure that staff are safe in terms of COVID. We know that a pandemic is still out there, and we've had several staff members who have tested positive or contracted that. And so we're working very hard to make sure that everyone stays healthy, and the ones that have contracted it, that it does not spread. So we will still continue to wear masks and follow social distancing because we just think that's the right thing to do to protect everyone. Secondly, the employee of the month this month is Sherry Balmer. She works in the HR department, and Sherry's been with us a little bit over a year. She has done outstanding things in so many areas. She actually came in working as a temp in the AP department and then moved on to HR, but she still helps out in several departments, and wherever she's needed, wherever we ask her to go to fill in when people are out and have been out for COVID, she has done just that. And so I'd like to say congratulations to her as Employee of the Month. Many of you ask why are the employees not here, because we want to be able to give you that room that you will need here to come sit. But at some point, every employee that's been Employee of the Month during the pandemic will ask to come back and take a really, really good picture of everyone with their plaques, because we do appreciate every employee. Secondly, we are planning the celebration of Black History Month. That is going to be February 23rd. Last year was very successful as that we had it over in our Roberts Hall, and thank you, Ms. Arlene, for allowing us to do that. This year we are going to move it to the Senior Center, and we're going to have a lot of the arts of students displayed like we did last year, but people will come in and out. We won't congregate. We'll try to follow as many guidelines as we possibly can. We are contacting our schools now to really have art that fits the theme of Black history, and so you'll see that happening next month sometime. Lastly, the Commission graciously approved for us to go forward to let the Mosley High School's design our city entrances. They have been working on that. They're together, putting together their teams. They put together a timeline for us that we need to massage just a little bit and then get that back out. It is a team of their CAD, or their engineering department, and their art department together. And they've begun work on that and are pretty excited about it. We'll be finalizing that timeline, and then we will have those renderings and drawings on display probably somewhere in March or April, and then we will bring them to the Commission for them to vote on the best one and then for approval. But we'll put that timeline out there as soon as we get that. And with that, that is my report.
Thank you, Ms. Vicki. That brings us to Mr. Kevin Obos, our City Attorney report.
Sure. Today we've got several ordinances on the agenda for first reading, so I'll go through those whenever we get to those after the first reading, but they all really relate to the changes we're making with code enforcement, and then the nuisance abatements, and then potential for any sort of special assessment. So those are all kind of tied together. And then other than that, we are working on a draft of some charter amendments. And so the plan would be maybe even this week is just to reach out to each of you individually and start there and go over some of those changes that we're talking about, and then bring that back at subsequent meetings. So that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. That brings us up to public commentary. So at this time, we will take comments from the public. If you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, go for it. Put your hand up if you would, please. We'll call you up.
Do you have a financial update on the agenda? Is that a financial update?
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. The financial update. Yes. We'll go back and ask, and I saw Kiki back there, just totally missed that financial update. If you'll come forward. Sorry.
Morning, Happy New Year.
Morning.
I'm here to discuss the report. If you have any questions, is there
I
anything
do.
I can answer for you? Is there anything I can answer for you on the report that was furnished? Yes, ma'am.
I do. I have a few questions for you this morning, Kiki. On DAG Architect, it says here with the 2 checks from last month, we paid them $110,673.50.
Correct.
Has that got anything at all to do with our police department or the city hall?
Those are both for the sports complex.
They're what?
Sports complex?
Sports complex.
Sports complex.
And ball fields.
Florida Architect is the one for City Hall.
I'm sorry, I can't hear us up here.
I know. Florida Architect is the city one. DAG is for the sports complex.
Okay. All right, so that's $110,000 just for the sports complex so far.
Correct.
And ball fields.
And ball fields.
Yes.
Okay. The next question I have is L&R Contracting. We paid them $131,484.90 this last month. Is that got anything to do with what we voted on last month as far as not to exceed $20,000 for that project?
This
No,
is
ma'am.
the lift
What
station.
is this for?
This is the lift station.
Where is that lift station at? Which one is it?
One moment, please.
That was actually a contract that we brought before you, and the commission approved that contract for L&R to do the work.
Okay.
And Greg's there.
It's actually 3 lift stations. It's lift station 4, which is on 77 to the south, lift station 12, which is the master for the country club, and then there was an emergency repair for lift station 38, which is on Mosley Drive. That's the master lift station for that corridor there.
Okay, thank you. And then I have just one more question, and then I'm done.
Yes, ma'am.
I've noticed the last couple of months, we have checks for between $32,000 and $33,000 a month that go to Neves Media. And Neves Media, the people who, and so I'm curious about that figure and what are we paying them for each month?
This references the senior center, so I assume it has to do with the,
Ken Griffin.
Yeah.
Senior Center.
You're exactly right. The one before that was Ken Griffin. As we spoke, I think we talked about that one last month or the month before. And this one is Senior Center. All of these are quoted out, and we go with the lowest quote.
So once we paid them, the senior center's paid for now, I
Yes,
assume.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
thank you. Anything else? Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you, Kiki. Okay, so now we will get to public commentary. Who wants to go first here? I can see him chomping at the bits. Mr. Walker, you want to come on up? You got one? Yes, sir. He was ready to go, I could tell, buddy.
Thank you for choosing me. They're having a little difficulty hearing back there, so I'm going to get up close. I don't know if you're going to go item by item and let people talk about it there. So this is the only avenue we have. Sometimes I notice that the commissioners do not allow us to talk to item. Previous mayor used to allow us to do that. I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to say one subject right now. All I did Sunday was try to drive through here. and I noticed something going on in front of the senior center. There was no notification to anybody in this town. Anybody. There might have been. We didn't get it. I looked over there and I saw the governor. Didn't know he was in town. Would have liked to have been here to see what was going on. I later found out that the city, who is represented by you gentlemen and ladies, not other people, you are our representatives, you're elected, had decided to allow the governor to come in here and do inoculations. Nobody that I knew of in my area was told about this. We then later read something in the paper about the churches, and it signified a certain set of churches, not churches in general, were notified. Private businesses were notified that this was going to happen. The 18,000 people in this town that you are responsible for their lives were not informed in total that they were going to be inoculated or could be. I consider that a slap in the face. I also consider this. I tried to look around in this town to find out what was mentioned in the newspaper that there was one form of churches that were notified. This set up division in this community that I do not like. I do not appreciate being told that one set of churches were being singled out while others were not. That's a division. I don't care for that. I don't believe that's right. And I don't believe that you should have stood there while the governor of this state stated flatly that one set of churches was going to be responsible for notifying the general public, 18,000 to 20,000 people in this town, that the inoculations were going to be held on their private property. They own this building. They own the property. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that was very good at all. And I don't appreciate it. And thank you very much.
If I could, thank you, Mr. Walker. If I could speak to that for just a moment. I went through this with my neighborhood earlier as well yesterday, so I'll go back over this again. Let me be 100% crystal clear that Lynn Haven had absolutely nothing procedurally to do with anything pertaining to the vaccination process or who got the vaccination or where the governor was at that time. The way this thing went down, the governor's office, and you can correct me if I misspeak here, Ms. Gaynor, the governor's office reached out to us less than 24 hours before he wanted to come in. There is no way to get mass communication out, especially when the governor's office is asking you not to put information out. I'm not going to defy the orders of the governor of the state of Florida and say, yes, I'm putting out this information anyway when he requested that not to happen. The reason he wanted that not to happen, according to him, is he did not want a mass swamping of people coming when there were only 500 pre-allocated vaccines available. Now, the church list, all of this is being handled, mind you, through the Florida Department of Health and Bay County and the governor's office. Has nothing to do with us so we didn't pick the churches. I don't know what churches are on that list. I haven't seen that list myself. I'm sure you can reach out to the county or the Department of Health and they can give you that information. I'm not even sure how they disseminated which churches to go to, except for I heard that they tried to go to people that were in very less affluent and impoverished areas first and foremost that may not have internet connection. And from what I understand, they went to the church pastors and just said, hey, who are 2 or 3 parishioners that really don't have much and need some help, that are elderly, that we can help, and put those names in the drawing or on the list, and we'll review these names, and then we'll decide who gets the shots. I think it was just using the churches was and I can't speak for the governor's office, but I believe it was just a way of having efficient means of getting to people without having just a mass crowd. A lot of the elderly go to church every Sunday and they get to hear their pastor make these announcements. So it was just a way of getting the vaccines out. I do know more vaccines are on the way. The governor did say in his speech he is supposed to be back in Bay County this week sometime. Again, he did not say when he was going to be or where he was going to be even, but that he would be back with another announcement. So hopefully that alleviates some of it. But I do want everyone again to understand all we did in Lynn Haven, all we did was provide this beautiful facility. That's it. And we were just so proud that we had a great governor of the state of Florida sitting in here saying what a beautiful job y'all have done after he was here after the hurricane and saw the destruction. So really and truly, again, just a venue. We were just a host. We invited them to come in and hang out and do their thing, but we were not involved in any of the process in the city of Lynn Haven, and I have no bearing on any of it. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I appreciate the discussion on that, and I don't want to make a debate over it. Well, I understand where you're coming from, and yeah, but that's not what the picture that was played to these people of this town. I don't know if anybody's going to say anything else, but you didn't know about it. I understand there was a memorandum or an email to all the city staffs Wednesday of last week saying that this was going to happen. If you didn't know about it till 24 hours before, then how come that memorandum went out from this city to this staff
The email that I sent.
saying what was going to happen?
Yes, sir.
You knew what was going to happen,
Thank you, Mr.
and you
Walker.
should have said something.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
Can I speak on that, please,
Yes, ma'am,
too?
you may.
City staff is always informed when it will involve PD. It will involve anyone where there may be a lot of traffic that will come through here. I am very disappointed that people would think that we would just target one group over another, first of all. I want everyone to be vaccinated. I want everyone to have that opportunity, just like they're using our facility out at Sports Complex to test people. There's no way we can go to those folks out, Department of Health, and say, just only test City of Lynn Haven people. They are trying to test people and get people tested, just like they are trying to vaccinate people. Many seniors do not have email. They don't know how to even go on and sign up for some type of appointment. This was a great way to reach seniors that did not have technology. And I will tell you, just from looking at the list, there were many Lynn Haven seniors that were vaccinated that day. We had Lynn Haven United Methodist Church. We had several churches within this area, not only this area, but some of the rest of the areas. And so it was not just Lynn Haven. Anytime you utilize a site, there will be other people that will come in. And I don't think that there are 18,000 seniors, first of all. I printed off every church and gave to them that was in the city of Lynn Haven, every church. And so, yes, there was an email to go out, and that email was to inform the public, inform staff what would be happening. But this is considered a closed pod, and that means that the governor has a way that he wants to try to distribute a number of vaccine. He is doing this all over the state. It's just not here in the city of Lynn Haven. He is doing this in every part of the state, trying to reach those seniors that maybe not have the ability to go on the computer and sign up and not be able to get a vaccination.
Thank you, Ms. Gaynor. Ms. Arlene, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, guys. And
Miss Arlene?
is this, okay, there we are. How many Lynn Haven churches, I asked Sunday how many Lynn Haven churches, and that you didn't seem to know. But when I came here, I did the same thing that Richard did, is I saw that there were a lot of cars in the parking lot. So I thought, well, let me go see what's going on. And when I got up to the table, they said, "Do you have an appointment?" And I said, "No. But I'd like to find out how to get on the list." And they had a lot of people coming that were on the list. And then they had a sign-up list for if anybody didn't come. And there was more room. And in part, thanks to the staff, and they helped me get in. And for myself, I came especially to ask for Libby Tennell to get vaccinated. She's 90 now. And fortunately, at the end of the day, Vicki called me and said there were 2 more vaccines, and Libby and I did get vaccinated. But I was curious if anyone knew how many Lynn Haven churches were involved.
All of the Lynn Haven churches were printed off in a report. We got that
I can't
report
hear
from, I'm sorry, I had the utility billing to print off all of the City of Lynn Haven churches, and I submitted that to DOH, and here, all of our City of Lynn Haven churches, and I know that they contacted pastors, and because we were contacted on Wednesday, and we had to make this happen in a matter of, 2 days. The governor contacted us on Saturday, said he was coming. So you can see the type of time frame we had. I don't know how many churches from Lynn Haven were on there. I just know that seniors were vaccinated. If there's another one, it's not going to be just for Lynn Haven. It is going to try to reach as many people as it possibly can. That is what the Department of Health is doing everywhere, just trying to find places to vaccinate people. So, that's just where we are.
So if I understand you correctly, I wasn't sure, somehow I think it echoes in here and you can't hear a thing.
Yeah.
But, so if I understand you correctly, what you provided to the governor's office was the list of all the Lynn Haven churches, and then they chose which ones to contact. Is that correct?
I don't know
is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, that may be true, because I know Lynn Haven United Methodist Church had 75 people on there. So all of the church, and then they once pastors maybe did not call them back, they spreaded it to other churches within Bay County.
Well,
I do
it came
know that.
out like a rumor here towards the end of the week, and I made a great effort on Friday to find out if this was just a rumor. And I contacted my church, Presbyterian Church here in Lynn Haven, and Lisa Martin knew nothing about it, and she'd spent all day Friday on the phone trying to find somebody that would confirm that or deny that this wasn't the case. Anyway, thank you very much for hosting that, and I'll sit down.
Thank you, Miss Arlene. Yes, ma'am.
First, as someone from the medical industry that retired from the industry, sorry, I think it is wonderful that people are showing up to get these shots. It's important. People that are in their 40s and 50s won't have that opportunity for a while. But these elderly people and our healthcare workers and our first responders, to have that opportunity is vastly important. I think we need to be careful, however, you say the prayer in the beginning, and we are all children of God.
Absolutely.
All of us.
Yeah.
And that means it doesn't matter how you worship, or if you go to temple, or if you go to mosque. We are all children of God. When you start talking about churches, that indicates Christianity. And you need to be careful with your language, because Hindus do not go to church. We are a very diverse state, and will continue to be more diverse. And what we saw last week was, to me, a problem of not embracing our diversity. So I guess the thing is, if you're going to have these wonderful events, you need to be very careful about how you approach in the language that is used. And you can also even recommend that to the governor's office.
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that. Thank you. Anything further?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
I am here as a senior from one of the churches. God is my father. I know the scriptures. And I just wanted to compliment you guys. Okay, there are always going to be pros and cons, negative and positive. All of us that did not understand what went on and you're not satisfied with the way it went, why don't we suggest you do it another way or help them do it better? No one has to do anything for anyone, and I am so grateful to have been able to be in line. Some was complaining about how long we had to stay in the cold. Some complained last week that we didn't have vaccinations for everybody. Okay, since you all know, okay, so then those that are complaining or misunderstood or whatever, let's suggest some better ways to do it. I understood that the health department was notified. They wanted the pastors of some churches to do it. My pastor didn't call me, but others did. And so when, I guess what all I'm trying to say is whatever we say, let's say it in love. Let's try to help each other get things better if it's not done the way we heard it should have been done. I saw people helping the seniors that was way behind coming in. We helped them with the, you can come before us with some had different numbers, some was going by church members, but let's just think on things that are pure, ways that we can help one another. What the world needs now is love, more love. It's enough hate and negativity going on. Let's be positive and come tell someone, I think this could have been handled differently. This is only an opinion. Okay? And then let's help volunteer to make it right or the way we would want it. If you know of people that were senior citizens that couldn't come, get the name. Come tell someone. I'll help you do it. That's all we got to do. It's easy. Let's love. And be careful with the words you speak because you might have to eat them yourselves. So let's help everybody and put Christ or whatever religions first. Let's just love each other. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your comment.
Thank-
I would say,
thank
you know,
you.
at the event on Sunday, it was a very festive, jubilant atmosphere. The seniors, the 500 seniors that were here were so happy and so proud. There was people clapping. It was like a football game, and we haven't been to sports in a while. You know, none of us have, so it was nice to actually have some cheering going on and some happiness going on. So I agree. I think it needs to be positive going into 2021. I don't think anyone that wants a vaccination, getting a vaccination should ever be a negative thing. So I'll leave that where it is, and we'll move on to our consent agenda. Oh, we have some more back here. I'm sorry, I didn't see you guys. Come on up, sir.
Morning, Jamie Warwick from 2002 Pentland Road. My concern this morning is about the 1099. I know I talked to the city manager, I talked to the finance director, I even called your officer, left a message, never got a response back. I've done payroll before, so I'm familiar with what a 1099 is used for in a W-2. And when I first heard about this in November, I said, well, maybe they're missing something, so I did some research. And so I went on the IRS website, and there's an audio script that talks about this very subject. And the example they use is the same exact example that we're using right now. And it says, a small city has an elected mayor and council that each receives $100 a month, and each receives a Form 1099 for $1,200 at the end of the year. Would this be the correct way to handle this issue? The answer is no. The example stated the mayor and council are elected. The issuing of a Form 1099 implies that there is not an employee-employer relationship. For income tax withholding purposes, elected officials of a local government are specifically identified as employees under Internal Revenue Code 3401C. Also, under our previous cited sections of the Internal Revenue Code 1402C, holders of public office are not self-employed individuals subject to self-employment tax and thus are considered employees of the government entity. The mayor and council should receive a Form W-2 and have the proper employment taxes withheld and matched because the mayor and council are employees. And then if you look at the code 401C, it's very clear. And so I called all the cities in Bay County. I said, how do you pay your commissioners, councilmen, and mayors? Every one of them pays them with a W-2, and that's include county commissioners. And doing all these phone calls and talking to all these people, I found out a good tidbit of information. Callaway, about 6 years ago, had an IRS audit. And the IRS audit, during that audit, they found that they were paying their commissioners with a 1099. And you never guess what they got written up for paying their commissioners with 1099, and they had to fix it immediately. I don't know if we'll come up to an agreement with this, but I suspect we won't, but hopefully we do. But I would like to recommend the city fill out this form. It's a SS-8. It's for if we have a disagreement on how someone is getting paid. It's no harm, no foul type thing, asking the IRS for help. And they can come back, and let's say they come back and say, yep, pay them 1099, then we'll pay them 1099. They come back and say W-2, we pay them W-2. These are the subject matter experts. And not only that, not only make sure we're doing everything legally, it also makes sure that if we ever get audited by the IRS, we will have this in our hand, and if they do say we're doing it wrong, we'll be like, nope, you guys told us we'd do it this way. So I don't understand why Lynn Haven wants to do it differently, but I don't think this is the right way of doing it. And I'd like to get some clarification on that, if I could.
Thanks, sir. And just for it to be noted, I do not like 1099s either. I do not like cutting 1099s at my office or doing anything with 1099s.
So you know what 1099s are used for?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, and that's why I don't
It doesn't,
understand.
I agree with you. There's something that's kind of hazy here, and I would like to see some clarification myself. Ms. Kiki, did you have something back there with it, or I just saw you come in, so I didn't know if you had anything you wanted to say about that, or the government does, I do know, I mean, the gentleman's, you're correct, the government, I've been audited as well by the IRS, and they do not like 1099s either, to be honest. It's not their favorite thing in the world, so yes, ma'am.
I'm here to do as instructed. This was the legal counsel informing us that based on the city charter, we should not be paying the commissioners through the payroll system, that it was indeed a 1099 issue, and that if we continued to pay you through the payroll system, you may be in jeopardy of being, I don't want to misspeak here, liable for remittance back for those funds?
This is a longstanding charter issue which we want to get cleaned up going forward. So I mean, we're going to do whatever's legal, but it's a problem that needs to be solved with a charter amendment.
If a charter is trying to take precedent over law, then that can't work anyway, though, correct?
It's not really a matter of that. It's just.
And I know these aren't fun questions to deal with.
Yeah, no, I mean,
at the office all the time.
The city's been doing it this way a long time, and the charter limits the amount of compensation the elected officials can get. It doesn't speak about these non-accountable reimbursements, basically like the stipend type of a situation.
Sure.
So that's really how they've been doing it. So we want to get all that cleaned up. So.
Sure. And I'm not doubting either one of you of what you're saying. I just want to make sure that what we're doing is not crossing wires or stumbling on top of each other, if we can make it a better system. So, and I do like W-2s more than 1099s. They're a better, you know this, they're a better way to deal with payroll.
Yes, sir. We are ready to do whatever we're instructed to do.
Absolutely.
I have no dog in this fight.
Yeah,
So this is a legal issue and above my pay grade.
Absolutely. No one's throwing a rock at you. We're just trying to figure it out. So thank you, Kiki.
Absolutely. Brandon, yes.
Hang on, Kiki. I got Commissioner Tender here.
I wanted to be clear, Kiki, and just honestly, you're very hard to understand with your mask on there. But so what you're saying is that our new council is the one that directed you to do this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're doing.
Okay. Because we have been on W-2s for the last 4 years, or 3.5, or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
so it's really in Mr. Oboe's court then,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And just so you know, before, you've been doing this for almost 3 years. Before this was changed to W-2s, the commission was being paid by 1099 for years, probably over 20 years, just so everyone knows that.
And that was when this law firm was our law firm. And when this law firm was fired, literally, we went to W-2s. And so now they're back and we want 1099s again. I'm do whatever we have to do. I honestly will.
If you go back to the minutes, this law firm actually disagreed with the commission going to W-2s then. They were the ones that said, I think you need to stay with a 1099, just so you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, sir. Come on up. Yep.
I'm not sure what it says in the charter. I looked through the charter like 3 times, and maybe it's something I'm missing, but I'm pretty sure that the charter doesn't override the IRS code. The IRS code is what dictates what municipalities have to do. But I'm not trying to create waves, but I just want to protect the city and make sure we're doing everything legally. So with your permission, I would like to add this to the record if I could. This is all the stuff that I just talked about.
Well, there's not really a record. We've gone over this before. You can turn it into our attorney, I guess, and he can hold on to it in case anyone wants to have a copy of it or whatnot in the future. But as far as an official record, this is not a courtroom, as I believe it was Mr. Carter at the time that explained that situation.
Well, I just thought it was important if residents wanted to see it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, just to
No,
create
come
transparency.
bring it up with us. I'd like to see it. I'm not disagreeing with you on the 1099 issue, so thank you for coming up. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Brian Gray, 1513 East Ninth Street. And if I'm wrong, hey, I've been wrong before. Maybe it happen again, but that's okay. But on the 1099 issue, 2 more things for consideration. The commission voted and passed the budget, and if it affects the budget, shouldn't it be brought before the commission for changes? Because it's funded through the budget. Right. And then another issue, if it does go to 1099 instead of W-2, then God forbid the ceiling was to fall on somebody, and it might create a legal issue for the city as well, just being proactive for the city, because we definitely don't need any more trouble. Just something for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Kiki, go ahead.
We will address all of these at the mid-year budget.
What was that again? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
We will address all of this at the mid-year budget and make any adjustments then.
Gotcha. Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Walker, we'll give you one. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I spent 2 years researching this about 5 years ago. I did exactly what the previous gentleman said, and I came up with the same subject. Callaway was audited over this issue. They were found wanting very heavily over 1099 W-2s. IRS is very explicit on this. And the state of Florida is even more explicit. You, elected officials, are employees of this municipality. That puts you in a category. IRS stipulates that employees earning a salary, and you are designated with a salary, Bay County has designated you as being under salary. The charter does not say salary. You set, supposedly by Mr. Barnes, a pay. Nothing about W-2s, 1099s. Yes, for 20 years you've been getting a 1099. That is an independent employee. Therefore, you are responsible for paying taxes, withholding, and everything like that. The city is not. When Callaway was investigated, IRS told them, you will straighten this out. You will fix it. And get with the IRS and settle this issue. IRS told them, you will issue W-2s. Canvass of mostly all the communities 5 years ago, some of them were doing W-2s, some of them were paying their elected officials $1 a year. That's because you use a 1099 and use a Form C and deduct everything of your expenses, traveling back and forth, et cetera, from that salary. Therefore, you pay taxes on $1. Fine. Let's get back to it. The charter has to be changed. Charter has to be changed. If you want to say you get a W-2. The bottom line here is this. You have the choice as an employee whether to get a W-2 or a 1099. The gentleman here is correct. I would, and you are correct, I would suggest that you go W-2. Therefore, you do, as a citizen of the United States of America, pay your taxes correctly. You're not an independent employee.
Thank you, Mr. Walker.
A lot of time was spent on this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Items 8, 9, and 10. 8, we have the minutes. 9, approval to excuse Hobie Kingery from the Beautification Board. And 10, discussion regarding time extensions of RVs, trailers, pods on private property. And we have the city manager on that one.
Motion to remove item 8 so we can discuss.
I can't hear you.
Motion
Motion to remove item 8 so we can discuss the minutes.
Right, thank you.
You want a second?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Well, let's pull 8 out then and discuss. What do you have, Commissioner?
Oh, I did that for Commissioner Tender. She wants to discuss the meeting minutes, correct?
I want to discuss the meeting minutes from last month, yes.
That's
To
why I
make
did the
corrections.
motion. Yes, sir.
Oh, well,
So-
yeah, that's actually coming up on, was it 11? Or
No, it's item 8,
Number
isn't it?
8. No, it's
It's
number
in
8.
it's in the consent agenda. We have to remove it to discuss.
yeah, I understand that, but we'll go ahead, Commissioner Tender. Then.
Oh, so you want to
Go ahead-
discuss
go
it
and
now?
discuss. No, item 8 then.
Okay. All right. Well, I wanted to make some corrections to the minutes that are in here today. And I can't see Shannon, but Shannon, I'm going to try to help you. When you go to the minutes where it starts out Jody Moore, on line 4, it says Brian Gray. That was not Mr. Gray that made those comments. It was Brian Dick who made those comments. I think that's very important that that be changed. And then at the bottom here, at the bottom paragraph, where it says, he inquired where Commissioner Tender was after the storm and stated he knew where she was, using county facilities to make over $90,000 in a month. And then he went on about morale. What he actually said, trust me, I know this by heart, what he actually said was, oh, that's right, you were using county resources and facilities all while making over $90,000 in less than a month while still collecting disability from the taxpayers. Believe me, I did a public request from the county. That is exactly what he said, and I would request that that be exactly put in the minutes. I have it written down for you so you don't have to try to remember all that. But those are the changes I would like to request be put in the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Tender. Was there anything else on that item? Or
No.
okay, then we'll. I don't think we really need a vote on that, do we?
Yeah,
Kevin?
well, I mean, do you need a motion to approve the minutes as amended or as they're written? Either way.
Motion to approve the amended minutes.
Okay.
Second. Thank you.
Call the roll, Ms. Vicki, please.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes. So motion passes on that one. 9 and 10 were not pulled off. Do we have a motion and a second to?
Motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Gaynor?
Okay. Commissioner Pardo?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes, ma'am. The 9 and 10 pass consent agenda. Old business, number 11, final reading of ordinance 1101 for amendments to code enforcement system. Are there any changes or amendments, notes to number 11 that we need to know of, Mr. Obos?
No, this is as advertised and as we discussed at our first reading last month, so.
Okay. Do you want to read that for us, please, Ms. Gaynor?
An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances to repeal the city's adoption of the Local Government Code Enforcement Boards Act, establishing a code enforcement special magistrate system, establishing standards for issuance of civil violation citations, establishing procedures for the appeal of civil violation citations, providing for the enforcement, collection, and foreclosure of penalties assessed with violations of the city's code of ordinances and land development regulations, replacing references to the city's code enforcement board, repealing provisions of the ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for codification, providing for recording, and citing an effective date.
Thank
Motion
you.
to
Everyone.
approve item 11.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Motion to approve item 11.
Item 11, second.
Ms. Gaynor, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender?
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge?
Yes, motion passes. To the new business, let's go to discussion and possible approval of the award of the Vermont Avenue Stormwater Improvement Project to L&R Contracting LLC, and this is our Public Works. Anything on that, Ms. Gaynor?
No.
I'd like to table that until, I'm sorry. Let me do this
Go ahead,
right.
go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this until we have Commissioner Dan Russell back.
Motion fails, so
I'd like to hear from Mr. Lightfoot about the project if we could.
yes, sir. Mr. Lightfoot, if you would come on up and give us a brief on this.
Good morning. So this project here is for the Vermont Avenue stormwater improvements. It is to create another outfall for Vermont Avenue at 15th Street. And what it will do is collect the stormwater outfall trunk line. We will run a new line down 15th Street to create an outfall to alleviate flooding in that area. L&R was the apparent low bidder. We had 7 different bidders. The city chooses to go with option number 1 in the amount of $317,223.40. This project was budgeted and it will be under budget.
Mr. Lightfoot, I had a conversation with the city manager, and I wanted to ask you in person. The outfall is on one side of the street of Vermont. It's at Vermont and 12th, right? And it runs back toward the bay, correct?
The outfall is actually running east on 15th Street to Main. I believe that is the next road over, Main Avenue.
Okay.
And will outfall there through the wetlands and work its way to the bay.
So this has nothing to do with Vermont and 12th?
No, sir, this is further south of 12th.
Further south, okay.
And now, all of this will help everything
Will-
on Vermont, going
will it
north.
help? Yeah.
Correct, because what
'Cause
it does.
we have a gentleman at Vermont and 12th who's very adamant about his outfall and what it does to his property.
Correct. We have several residents in this area that are adamant on this project, and it will help numerous people in this area.
I mean, I say we move on this now if you don't mind, and I move to approve this project.
And everything is in budget. This will be a direct purchase for all materials, so we will recognize the tax savings as part of this.
How long do you think this project will take to complete?
I think the timeline on this project is 120 days for substantial completion and 180 for final, if I remember right. I'll look back and confirm that after the meeting.
Thank you.
I say let's get going if it helps people who are having issues.
Did you motion already?
I would like to make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Gaynor, if you would call the roll on that.
Yes.
And then we'll get some commentary on it.
Commissioner Parno?
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge.
Yes.
Mike ain't working for nothing.
Sir, did you have a question back there about that line item? I'll let you come up and ask about it.
Just a quick question. I've been down that road talking with people, and I know exactly what you're talking about, Commissioner Perno, that house on the corner next to 12. Sure. It's a very big concern. And so I guess my question was, the project that they're doing, I know he said it'll help a lot of people, but will it help that individual themselves?
And the answer to that is yes. And what this is, all the stormwater that is running north now to the outfall, to the current outfall in Vermont, this is basically diverting some of that flow to the east and then working its way up. So yes, it will help that area further south and further north by not having as much stormwater go that direction.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chris. Doing a good job. Let's go to... Yes, ma'am.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
have
Go
a
ahead.
crazy question, and I realize it's in the middle of everything. But have we went to see the gentleman that talked at the last meeting that he's got those flooding issues? Remember, he stood up here, Mr. I could get his
Louisiana
name.
Avenue, yes.
Yes, what have
Mr.
we done
Parham,
to help
Mr.
him?
Parham, actually,
1503
yes,
Louisiana?
Yes,
Yes,
Louisiana.
I went and
yes.
met with, is it Mr.
Mr.
Frederick
Parham, Freddie Parham.
After the meeting, he needs a ditch in front of his home as of right now. So we've got him, we kind of looked at it and see what we need to do. Got a couple different alternatives that we're looking at to get that. But we went, was it raining bad Thursday of last week, and saw where the stormwater is basically flowing into his yard. So we have a couple alternatives that we're looking at there. Nothing has been done yet.
Okay. And do you know when we'll be doing something about that, or?
I can't give a timeline of, as everyone knows, the stormwater list is huge, but it is on there, and
Okay.
we have definitely looked at it.
And what was his name again?
Freddie Parham.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, first reading of ordinance 1102, establishing procedures for special assessments. There's no action necessary on this. Mr. Obos, if you'd take that one and run.
Right, and I'll just kind of give you a summary. What this is a procedural ordinance. The city didn't have anything on its books currently, so this will set forth procedures by the city in the event you guys ever want to enact a special assessment or a non-ad valorem assessment. And what triggered this is obviously there's been discussion on two actually, stormwater assessment possibly this year or next year, and then when we talked about nuisance abatement properties, wanting to be able to recover those on the tax bill. To do that, you have to do that in the form of a special assessment. So this is the framework for here's how we do a special assessment in Lynn Haven. And so that's what this ordinance is. It's a lot of procedure. We could set up an assessment area. It can be citywide. It could be, you might want to do a sidewalk assessment one day and it affects 8 people. And this is just how you do an assessment moving forward. And so that's what this ordinance is. And again, it's first reading today, and then we can bring it back, get it advertised, and bring it back for a public hearing and adoption.
Sounds good. Ms. Gaynor, if you would read ordinance 1102 for us, please.
An ordinance relating to services and capital improvements providing a special benefit to specific areas within and adjacent to the city of Lynn Haven, Florida, providing definitions and finding, authorizing imposition and collection of special assessments to the fund, cost of capital improvements and services, providing a special benefit to specifically identified assessment areas within either or both incorporated areas of the city or unincorporated areas within the urban service on the city, providing for option and mandatory prepayment of assessments, establishing procedures for notice and adoption of assessment rolls for correction of errors and omissions, providing that assessments constitute a lien on assessed properties upon adoption of assessment rolls, establishing procedures and methods for collections of assessments, including assessments imposed on government property, authorize issuance of obligations secured by assessments, providing for various rights and remedies of the holders of such obligations, providing that such obligations will create a general debt or an obligation of the city, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. No action necessary there, so we'll move on to the next item. First reading of ordinance 1103, amending chapter 26 of the Code of Ordinances, authorizing special assessments of nuisance abatement liens on the tax rolls. And I believe this is tied in with the other item, correct?
It is. So this is, again, our first reading, and this one it's pretty simple and straightforward. In our nuisance abatement code currently, what we're doing is adding language to authorize special assessments and the collection on the tax roll. So there's some new language in there, so we can be able to do that going forward this year.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gaynor, if you would read Ordinance 1103 for us.
An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances regarding nuisances, amending the determination of assessed value for unsafe or unfit dwellings, repealing the requirement that certain prohibited conditions be noticed by publication, providing that the city may utilize the uniform method of collection authorized by Florida statutes, repealing provisions of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing codification, and reciting an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. No action necessary on that one. We'll move to the next. First reading of Ordinance 1104, modifying the Lynn Haven Police Officers Retirement Plan by raising the required distribution age and changing the date individual member share accounts that are established. This was the police chief, I don't believe.
It's not here, but it's which first?
It's just straightforward. Okay, we'll just have our first reading then. Ms. Gaynor, if you would read that one for us.
Ordinance number 1104, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending Chapter 50, Personnel, Article number 3, Police Officers Retirement System of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, amending Sections 50 through 81, benefits amounts and eligibility, amending Section 50 through 82, pre-retirement death, amending Section 50 through 85, optional forms of benefit, amending Section 50 through 91, minimum distribution of benefits, amending Section 50 through 92, miscellaneous provisions, amending Sections 50 through 104, supplemental benefit component for special benefits, Chapter 185 share accounts, providing for severability of provisions, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, ma'am. No action necessary on that one, so we'll move forward to 16, 17, and 18. These are all related as well. I'm sorry?
You have to take them one by one.
Yes, I'm going to take them one by one, absolutely. But I just wanted the public to know that they're all related together. So number 16, discussion and possible approval of the Panhandle Engineering Task Order for the master plan, specifications, contract documents, design and permitting of the influent pump station and wastewater plant expansion at the Advanced Wastewater Treatment Plant, or the AWT. Do you have a report for us, sir?
Yes, this is, these three agenda items before you all relate to the growth of the city. We've been bumping up against the capacity issue of the AWT for several years. We made good progress in tightening up the collection system by stopping inflow and infiltration, but we're still getting into that capacity issue. We have several large-scale housing subdivisions coming at us in the future. The city continues to grow. We're doing great on our commercial corridor. We need to start the long-term planning for expansion of the AWT. We've already put some pieces in place. We've expanded the filtration 2014, 2015. We revamped that and added to that capacity there. We've started planning for the influent pump station already. This document will get us the bid documents and actual start construction on the influent pump station. So,
thank you.
Happy to entertain any questions.
Okay. So you're saying that all three of these, my first question, is this in the budget? Or is this something?
Yes.
And what is the total cost of this project?
Well, the construction, we don't know yet because there's still a lot of unanswered questions. What technology are we going to use to treat it? How are we going to dispose of the effluent? That's what these engineering fees will help us determine.
Okay. What are we paying Panhandle Engineering to determine that?
There was $245 There's 3 engineering firms involved there. All of the costs are in your consent agenda,
Okay,
commission agenda report.
okay. So Panhandle's making 245, and what are the other 2?
240, and I don't have the other one in front of me.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what that one is? Excuse me? Do you know what the third one is?
It was for
The
dewberry
cost
for some
factor for the
surveying.
engineering on the...
Survey for the surveying,
Yeah. I
that
don't
is
have that number in front
$9,000.
of me.
It's in this packet here.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Okay, but for the
$9,000,
public...
$10,000 to help
Lock
identify
down.
all the old piping, where the electrical stuff is. I mean, all those things that you have to do. Basically, what we have to do is build another treatment plant while keeping the existing one running. So if you can imagine all the infrastructure that's in the way, all the electrical for a small city has to be brought in. It's a huge task.
It's a huge undertaking. And this is going to take how many years?
It's a good question. The previous plant expansion took 4 years to get there before we actually started construction. A lot depends on how well we do with our inflow and infiltration projects to reduce that flow coming to the plant. We're running about 65% capacity right now. So we go down in capacity and we gain capacity. When the wet weather comes in, we've been as high as 80 and 90% capacity at the plant. So it changes a little with the wet weather, but we're to the point where we have for the future to accommodate the growth the city's got coming our way. And
Well,
now's the time
I
to do it.
commend you for planning way ahead.
And just clarification, dewberry is 11,000, I wanted to give you exact amount, 11,950.
Thank you. And you said this is in the budget, this planning
All of
stage?
this was in the planning stages, actually in the
Yes,
budget. And if
the-
you'll look at the first part of this, we were awarded a $1.6 million grant
Oh,
to start
okay.
this right here. And I think that was an important part that we left out of this, is that this is a grant project from Hurricane Michael. And
Okay.
so, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah, and the construction, we're chasing different funding sources, and we'll get to all that once we have something to bring.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know, what we're seeing throughout this whole state is, you know, the growth is so fast that the infrastructure is not able to keep up, which is why there's just orange cones everywhere you go in the state. And so I applaud you for trying to get ahead of that curve so that we don't wind up, you know, a mess,
That's right.
you know, like in Orlando or Tampa or somewhere down
We
there.
have, we have to plan for it.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the commission?
Do we need to vote on these individually?
Yes, ma'am, you
We
will.
will. Yes, ma'am.
Item 15, move to approve.
Hmm?
It's item 15, correct? 16?
We already voted on
Let's
16. So 16,
move to approve
motion.
item 16, 17,
Second
18. Yep.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich.
Yes, ma'am. Number 17, discussion and possible approval of the Dewberry Engineering Task Force for surveying related to the AWT expansion and improvements. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve item 17.
Second?
And if we could have the roll, please.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich.
Yes, ma'am. And finally, discussion and possible approval of Mott McDonald task order for design and permitting of the headwork upgrades and wastewater plant expansion of the AWT facility.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich.
Yes, ma'am. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone. See you at the next meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Happy New Year.